Alright, quick update on Internet Computer Protocol, ticker symbol ICP. So, in this video, I'm going to be looking at the higher time frames and talking about the Heiken Ashi candles, which are a great way to characterize whether we're in a very clear-cut uptrend or a very clear-cut downtrend. Now, I do just want to mention my short-term price targets. If you want an entire in-depth run-through of why I think we're going to these price targets, check out this video that I made 6 days ago on ICP. We made this video about $7. You know, we've made a ton of predictions on ICP before. I actually started covering this at $27, and if you go back to my videos, you know, it was all the way up here, and my videos when I started covering this in January was actually $37. I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, so this is when I started covering ICP, and I've been telling you this is going a lot lower since I started covering it, and I still think it is. So what I see playing out for ICP right now, just like we called at $7, we said your short-term price target of this next major breakdown that we're experiencing, which was this massive M pattern, would be for us to come down to $3.25. I actually think we're coming down to $1.70 though before we're going to see any particular type of short-term bounce. You know, once again, we made this up here at $7.50. We came all the way down to $4.60, had a dead cat bounce. It looks, in my opinion, like we are solidifying a lower high. We are also emming out in the lower time frame. So once again, just a quick update on the short term. If you want my full in-depth thoughts of the short term, check out this video because not too much has changed. What I want to do is zoom out, clear up the chart, remove all of the noise, and switch over to the Heiken Ashi candles so we can get a great perspective on what is going on in the market. So right off the bat, the first thing that I notice when looking at this chart is this massive run up in bearish volume. The second thing I notice is that you've basically just got a swarm of bearish volume stepping in on this chart. There is literally no buyers coming in to step into this market at all. And even if we're not talking about previous market structure, we can all acknowledge that volume is predictive of price. How do we know volume is predictive of price? Well, the volume's been exponentially bearish since the 10th of May. And if we zoom out, what was the weekly candle commencing the 10th of May? $630. Since $630, the bearish momentum has not subsided whatsoever, and we're now sitting down at around about the ranges between $6. On the Heiken Ashis, it's a slightly different target because, you know, these open approximately halfway through the previous candle body close. It's not exactly halfway through. I've made a video all about Heiken Ashi candles. If you're a bit confused on the market structure of these and you want a more in-depth perspective of how these work, so if you do want that, be sure to head over to my channel playlist and click on the educational series. I've got a whole update there on Heiken Ashi candles. So what you will notice is, looking at the bull market support bands, we've also been beneath these since these loaded in at $86. So right off the bat, I'd say if you were looking to buy ICP, which I highly do not recommend, I've talked about this before, you know, if you look at the fundamentals of this, you know, any other smart contracts platform, any other, you know, BS Web3 type cryptocurrency can do everything that ICP does. There is absolutely nothing special about ICP, and this is completely reflected in the price when subsequently it's moved from $630 down to $6. Now, what you will notice on the weekly time frame is this has previously had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 week bounce on the Heiken Ashis on the US dollar. So right off the back, since its existence all the way up at the top, since it's launched, it has not managed to have more than 2 months of bullish volume stepping in. And if we look at the previous dead cat bounces, because obviously this was a lower high, 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 in all these other scenarios, we only put 2, 2, and 3 candles worth of bullish momentum over on the weekly time frame. Ever since then, we've been in an absolute rug to the downside, and you can really see that we are testing the lows down here. Now, I do want to look at this on the Heiken Ashis predominantly, but I do also want to look at the Japanese candlesticks and, you know, point out this was basically, if we invert this chart, this was your previous all-time high. This was also your previous all-time high. You have a massive run-up. And what do you notice when we're looking at this on the inverse chart? Let's pretend this is a different cryptocurrency. We're looking at something called PCI right now. And PCI is extremely bullish. This has been holding its bull market support bands, which is, you know, the most basic indicator to let you know whether you're in a bull or a bear market. Typically speaking, you're above the bull market support band, you're in a bull market. You're below it, you're in a bear market. Well, when we look at this on the inverse chart, you'll see that this entire market structure is just a huge channel to the upside. And in my opinion, looking at this chart, this looks like it's going to the moon. This was your previous all-time high. You had a temporary correction from it, you broke above it, and ever since then, you've been in price discovery to the upside. So now we flip this into perspective. Now we recognize that it is in a bull run on the inverse charts. When we do flip back to reality and we now look at this on a very simple chart, you know, clearing up all of the volume, or not volume, clearing up all of our, you know, support and trend lines and all that good stuff, all of our Fibonacci's. The most simple way that we can point this out in terms of this market structure is that we are in a bear market and we're in price discovery to the downside. So in my opinion, it seems pretty black and white that this is heading down to zero. In my opinion, a lot of people are also banking on the BTC integration over in, I believe it's in the next month. So in the next month, we should have the BTC integration. I believe this is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type event where this is probably going to capitulate on the day. If it doesn't capitulate on the day, it will capitulate the day after. Looking at the money flow indicator, this is a good indicator of how much money is flowing into the market. And as you can see, you've got your all-time high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. This is just exponentially capitulating down to the downside. Now, this gets interesting when you switch over to the monthly time frame. This is probably not a sight to be seen if you are holding ICP. Nonetheless, you know, I don't hate any cryptocurrency. I don't hate ICP. I'm not, you know, trying to fud you out of your bags if you are an ICP. I simply think this is a garbage shitcoin. And if you do watch my channel, I'm not really like other crypto YouTubers. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I like to look at the markets for what they are. And there is no way, if you have any sanity, that you can look at this chart and say this is a bullish chart and this is going to the moon. This chart is absolutely dog shit and it looks like it's going to bleed out to zero. Now I want to talk about the volume and see if this monthly volume coming in is higher than this previous all-time high in volume that we did. And what we can do to simply tell this is, if you look over to the top left of my screen, you will notice the volume signal over here. And right now the number correlated to it is 0 because we're not looking at any candle. However, when you see, if I move my cursor over to the candle in question, we can look at how much volume was sold over on these monthly candles. Now, this is in correlation to the cryptocurrency, not in terms of the US dollar valuation. So, for example, up here in the top left, you can see 48.69 million. This doesn't mean $48.69 million. This means 48.69 million ICP was sold. Now, keep that in mind, 48.69. We move over to this monthly candle. What do we have? 48.79. We have a new all-time high in terms of bearish momentum. What does this mean? This means if we draw a line of best fit, I'm sure you will remember in school doing scatter graphs and drawing lines of best fit through the data. This would be your line of best fit. And even if you don't want to draw a line of best fit and you want to draw the trend that we've got going on in the lower time frames, you can see we've got something like this, which I don't necessarily think will replicate in the next month, but it is something to note that we've got all-time selling volume stepping in on these markets right now. So I want to keep this video super simple. It's very evident that if you look at this with a level head, we're in price discovery to the downside. On the Fibonacci candles, we have not had a single month of bullish momentum in its entire existence. So I hate to break it to you. Once again, like I said, I'm not here to fudge you out your bags. I don't hate any cryptocurrency per se. I am a trader. I always have this saying, I don't love it, I don't hate it, I trade it. And there's a bunch of cryptocurrencies that I'm not necessarily fans of. Like, for example, I don't like XRP, but once again, I don't hate it. I will trade it if there is an opportunity to make money. And just like with ICP, if I see an opportunity to buy in the short term, I will take it. But look at this chart, there is no opportunities. Look at your DCAs. I beg you, if you've been buying this, go to whatever website or whatever exchange you've been buying this on. Look at what levels you've been DCAing into this in. If you've been DCAing at any point in time, apart from like the past 4 or 5 days, then you are under the water. Once again, I hate to tell you, but this is going to zero. So if you have any money in ICP, I hate to break it to you, this is going to absolutely zero. So ICP versus BTC, this is a very similar market structure as well. When we look at the monthly, what do we have right here? In terms of the volume over on the monthly here, we had 6.81 million ICP sold against Bitcoin. what do we have over here? 6.9. So once again, we've got a new all-time high worth of volume for people selling their ICP for Bitcoin. So I also say this on my channel: if you're buying altcoins, look at how they're performing against Bitcoin. Because if you're buying ICP, ICP is a million times more risky than Bitcoin. So if you're taking on all of that extra risk, I understand it's all about risk to reward. You want to get a higher % return for that extra risk you're taking on. But how is this working out against Bitcoin? It's not working out. If you zoom out, this used to be, ICP used to be 5.5% of a Bitcoin. Now it's 0.000265. And once again, volume is predictive of price. Drawing a line of best fit, you can see the volume is exponentially increasing to the upside, which means that this is probably going to have another massive leg to the downside. Probably the most easiest way that we can look at this is look at how this is performing over on CoinMarketCap. Now we can see in the all-time chart that this is basically flatlined. You know, this has been dropping for ages now, but when we look at how it's performing against BTC as well, you can see, you know, we're really not far away from zero. So, you know, I hate to tell you, I don't think this BTC integration is going to be bullish. I'm telling you, no Bitcoiners give a shit about ICP. So I really don't think that this is going to be a bullish integration whatsoever. I'm a massive Bitcoiner myself, and that doesn't mean that I don't trade altcoins, because once again, like I say, I don't love it, I don't hate it, I simply trade it. I'm a very, very honest trader. I like to look at the market structure, I like to look at the moving averages, and I like to look at things from a purely mathematical perspective. I don't like to bring my emotions into the charts, and this is what the chart says. You know, once again, there is not a single spot of green on ICP against the US dollar. So it seems very black and white. Once again, you know, I'm not here to fudge you out of your bags. I'm here to tell you that not every cryptocurrency is going to make it. And as you can tell from how this is performing, this is down 98.7%. I think if we switch over to the Japanese candlesticks and actually draw it from where it currently is, you can see 99.7%. Maybe it's up a tiny bit. Yeah, basically 99% to the downside. So this has dropped 99% already. And once again, this is going to drop another 99.999%. This is probably going to a penny, where it's going to flatline before it drops to, you know, 0.0000001, where it's going to reside for the rest of its life. That's all I've got for ICP. You know, once again, look at this objectively. This cryptocurrency is not going to make it, in my opinion. But as always, that is all I've got for you. Not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.